Yo, this is crazy right now. Police just hit the ambulance. Brownsville, Brooklyn, Rockaway, and Fulton. It's just crazy. Police truck on fire. It's just crazy. Police truck on fire. Look, hey. Get laid out.
Hey, what that?
Look at this. I don't know what they was rushing to. Wow. Look, damage on the side of the ambulance truck.
And that's not an easy thing to do. So when you're speaking to a person that's actually like in the danger, you're like on site, you got people doing, because I remember one time you told me a crazy story. I think somebody took like the not exactly the wheelchair, but it was something that, you know, y'all use for
the stair chair.
Yeah. And then they put it on top of the ambulance, right?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
That's out of control.
Because I mean, listen, when you get your driver's license, they tell you don't follow an ambulance, don't follow a fire truck. They don't respect the ambulance, they respect the fire truck, they respect the police car. So in a narrow street, we're gonna block the street. That's what happens.
Right.
My man decided he gotta get out his car.
Cool Geeks Tribunal, eternal, forever.
Yo, so what's going on, man? I found another hero in the streets. Yeah, man. So we in the, Hood Hero series, 3rd installment. Actually 4th installment. You know what I'm saying? Fourth episode on that. Okay. So we found the paramedic. We found the first responder on scene. It's going down. Everything gets crazy. They calling you to come clean them up, pick them up, patch them up. Everything. We definitely going to keep going with this Hood Hero, saluting, letting it be known that we don't just got to go to the movies. We don't just got to go to fiction, whether it be in book or music, anything. They are among us. You know what I'm saying?
We're here in plain clothes. We're here in uniform.
Absolutely. So. Cups up, Cool Geeks Tribunal in full effect. My man, Wayne Edgar, we here in the building.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, Chester Hero, what's going on, y'all? So.
Let's talk about it.
Let's go.
What is it like to be a first responder? What is it like to be a paramedic on the scene?
It's kind of, first, you gotta like what you do. A lot of time you're put into situations where you just gotta go into action. There's a lot of times where I just drive up and I pull up on scene, and people are running. Here's a baby, figure it out. Baby's not breathing.
Wow.
This man's on fire. Figure it out.
Wow.
I had a case maybe like last year, a 2-month-old baby. This I guess the mom was sleeping and she might have fell asleep and laid on top of the baby. Mm-hmm. She called 911. I think the firefighters the police officers got there first. They grabbed the baby. As soon as we pull up, they're like, the baby's not breathing. So just hand us the baby and we have to figure it out right on the spot. It's like, wow. No time to think, no time to be like, I may give it to somebody else. You're in charge. You got to figure it out. You got somebody's life in your hand. That's it.
So you got to resuscitate this child.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Resuscitate this child. You got to give them medications. You got to notify the hospital that you come in. You got to comfort the mother as well, because she's screaming. You got a whole crazy scene going on. So you got to be in charge of the whole scene.
Wow. Okay. So you get the call. I'm assuming you're at the station. You get the call. Mm-hmm. Now hit the siren. Woo. Yeah. It's on. Mm-hmm. And now you flying down. You run into traffic.
Oh, all the time.
Right? Like, is there any consideration of like, you got there late because it was traffic? You know what I'm saying? Like, how do you get people out of your way? Some people don't have any respect. Like how do you moving with that?
The only time people respect you is when it comes to them. So let's say you call 911, then you expect us to be there right away. But if it's not you, you're like, I'm not moving out the way. Y'all got to wait on me. A lot of times people stand at the red light, blowing the horn, they don't want to move. Or people crossing the street, like, I got the red light, I got the green light. I'm like, ma'am, you see my my sirens on, they don't care.
Right. All right. So as a paramedic, right? You're basically like the doctor before the doctor, right? So what's the education like to even get to that level? Because I know doctors, they go to school for like 1,000,000 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So what is that like? You know, just the whole process.
Well, first, to be a paramedic, you have to be an EMT first. So EMT, you go to school about 3 to 6 months. And then after that, you got to go in the streets and have some type of damn, the word just slipped my mind. Experience, sorry. You get about a year's experience, 1 to 2 years experience on the street. And then you could upgrade to a paramedic. Now in paramedic school, everything is advanced. It's 9 months, nonstop work. 9 months you learn about intubating patients, you learn about EKGs, you learn about medications, you learn about a whole bunch of stuff. Everything's just crammed into 9 months. So we're still under the orders of a doctor, but we have a little more lenience than like nurses. Like nurses have to ask to give this medication or give that. We have a list of medications we give on standby, and then some we have to call our doctors to find out, you know, if we can give it or not. Right.
Okay. So dealing with all of that sort of madness, everything that's going on, you pull up on the scene, is wild. Sometimes I know people are calling expecting you to do heroic things, but sometimes people treat you like villains. Like there's some people that just don't just don't have that certain level of respect or whatever. What's that like?
There's 2 things I learned. I learned that, that you can't save everybody, unfortunately. Right. I learned that the hard way. But people expect you to. They expect once they see you in that uniform that you're supposed to work miracles. Even obviously the doctors and everybody in the hospital, help my mother, help my daughter, help my son, whoever it is. You expect them to fix them, but sometimes, unfortunately, not every situation can be fixed. You just got to act professional at all stands. No matter what it is, you can't let your pride get in the way of anything or your emotions. You got to stand by your principles as a paramedic.
Right. Yeah. So, at what point? How do you decide who's driving, who's being in the back of the truck or whatever? Is it like you just alternate with your partner?
Yeah, usually you're supposed to alternate. Like one day you drive, I'll be the tech. Next day I drive and you'll be the tech. You switch it off. Or some people don't like to drive. Some people don't like the tech. It's just you work it out with your partner.
Right.
Yeah, it's nothing concrete.
Okay. Yeah. So for things from like a fictional side of it, right? Everybody gets hyped off of, superheroes because they in the action, it goes down, you're ready to see them get busy.
Always.
In real life, do you feel like it's sort of like a thankless job, or is it something where there are people that really do appreciate what you do? They do respect it, like in the moment,
right?
Respect it. Or is it just like afterwards? They're like, oh, thanks.
So it's different, like during the pandemic, I could say that we definitely felt appreciated from the public. I remember around like 7 p.m. every night. First time I heard bells ringing. Bang, 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 bang. I was like, what the hell? Look around, they clap and cheer. I was like, oh, that's for us. That's what's up.
You ain't accustomed to that, right?
Exactly. I'm used to get out my face, get out there, curse me out, but that was different, and I appreciated that, So you get all aspects. You get people that curse you out. You get people that cheer you. You get people that want to give you money. Like, listen, we don't accept donations, stuff like that. Just write us a letter and say thank you. That's all.
You should be able to accept tips, gratuities, all of it. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's real work that you're doing. It's no joke. For a person that is living it, you're all in it. Do you have trouble like watching some of these movies, to where you're like, yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, okay, that's exaggerated. It does not go down like that. It's not as glorious as they're making it seem, when you're on scene.
Listen, that's the movies. Everything's exaggerated in the movies, I could go 10, 15, 20 days and just have regular calls like, listen, my arm is hurting. Oh, I got a call for 10 days. Okay. Right. Let's go to the hospital. Ain't nothing for me to do for you,
Not everything's exciting.
Exactly. But then again, like I said, you get that call. Like I said, I remember that day too. Like we was actually at the station, me and my partner.
Right.
We just got something to eat, and they call your unit. So our unit, I don't know, let's say the day was like 4 X-ray, something like that. 4 for X-ray for the call, 4 for X-ray for the cardiac arrest. And then you just gotta go in the truck. You go in the truck. Sometimes it's not a cardiac arrest or whatever it is. And then you're driving down. Then they come back on the radio. 4 for X-ray, cardiac arrest confirmed. It's a pediatric cardiac arrest. And then there's EMT crew that sometimes get there before you, and then they confirm what it is, or a lieutenant or whatever it is. And they confirmed it and let us know what's going on. So like I said, some days you got the nothing, and some days you got the
everything.
Yeah.
Right. And that's what I was going to ask, right? So about a year ago, you was essential. Now, you don't take that jab, you don't go, you know what I'm saying? Like, now it's like you're sacrificial.
For real.
How are people like just dealing with that's in it? Like, cause I mean, you show up, I'm assuming that, I know everybody wants a paycheck. You know, everybody, you know, is like, oh, this is good money. This is a good career. You look at the benefits and everything like that, but it's not everybody's built for it. Right. So what is that like to go from like, okay, you know, some people may, you know, respect it, some people may not, to now I'm being applauded, pats, and, you know, they're banging spoons and clapping and everything like that. And then 12 months later, you're hearing like, if you don't go along with this thing, now, obviously we all got to go through it, you know, otherwise you know, you can't work. Right. If you don't accept it and you don't get down with it. Yeah. But just to even feeling like the shift in appreciation, you know, I know they try to couch it in language of like, well, you know, you're saving everybody and this, that, and the other, whatever the case is, but you're human and nobody wants to kind of be forced to do things. Right. So everybody has their own perspective on the situation. But just to know like, yo, it went from this to that in 12 months, you know, how does that, you know, not that you got to speak for everybody, but just, yeah.
Listen, it's all about the politics. I tell you, the first thing you gotta do is love what you do. You're not gonna be a millionaire doing this job. You know, you probably could take care of your family if you work enough overtime, but again, you got to work hard for this to be a financial gain for you. Right. It's you gotta love what you do, but at the end of the day, like the politics is the one that usually makes you feel as if you're less of what you are. You know, it's the appreciation from the patients that you get. Like I said, the family that thanks you. Just say thank you. You know, give you a pat on the back. You know, that tries to give you money. Like I see that you appreciate what I do. You know. Yeah. But then it'll be your own people. That's like, you know, well, this person didn't come to work, so you got to stay. You got to work this overtime, or you get in trouble for the littlest things. It's like, yo, you know, I just came and I just saved the baby, and you get mad at me because I didn't write this paper? Like, really? Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I'm used to not being appreciated. So it's nothing foreign to me, you know?
Right. Yeah, because I know like that's heavy, man. I mean, you know, there's so many sides, you know, people taking different sides on it. It's a very divisive issue. So it's always interesting to see, you know, a person that's on the front lines that, you know, has to do it. And, you know, it's a little bit, the rules are a little bit more stringent when, you know, like I'm not just working any old where, like I'm in this whole thing. So, you know, I got to get down with this or whatever. But just to see the shift and, you know, from the people that make the rules and, you know, how they can put you in the bind. Have you seen like a big, have you felt like there's a lot more work right now because there's been a drop in the productivity because there's not enough people working because maybe some people are out sick or there are people that haven't capitulated to, you know, everything that they're coming down on people with all of these mandates? So is it like, yo, you know, you feeling overwhelmed?
Oh yeah, we're always short staffed. There's always overtime because either you're hurt, people use this job as a platform because, like I said, you're not gonna get rich off of this, and you gotta work hard to get that money. So a lot of people use this platform to become firefighters or nurses, even police officers as well. You know, so this job doesn't pay you well. It doesn't. It's not going to make you rich. So at the end of the day, they just use this for a platform for them to for whatever they're looking for. You know.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
How is it when you're working with, like, so you're on scene, right? You know, you show up, you have the police that you have to probably work with a lot before you even get to the hospital from the doctor. So is it kind of like there's already like an understanding of, you know, to some degree you pass a baton, like, you know, or is there like, you know, no one steps on anybody else's toes?
Yeah. So, you know, just like, you know, you work in the hospital, you see regular clerks, you see regular doctors, you see regular transportation, whoever you see, you always know them. Then they work with you, you know?
Right.
And they know their roles, whatever. They don't try to step on your toes. We don't do the same. Like, if I see a cop and I want to go and arrest a dude on the street, you say, that's your job. You got that, you know? But if he sees that we're in danger, they'll come in and protect us, you know? So you tend to build a morale with the people that you work with, and you get to see the people often. And then, you know, as you see them more often, you build a better morale with them, and they help you out and they work with you.
Okay. Are there any like specific things that like a police officer could be like, yo, you know, we need you over here for this? Or, you know, I mean, I know you said that they'll protect you if something goes down or whatever while you're trying to do your job, but there's never like any official, like where y'all have to always like interact in any particular situation? Like if you're all on the scene at the same time?
Generally we're on the scene with police officers with, we call them EDPs, emotionally disturbed patients.
Okay.
Sometimes they might become violent, you know, and we need police for protection as well. Sometimes kids are left alone. Let's say a 5 or 6 year old is left alone. Somebody calls for them. Might need the police officers to step in. Sometimes they assist us to travel to the hospital with them as well. We work a lot with firefighters as well too. You know, they come on calls where we have heavy patients, we have fires. We need to control the scene where there's a car accident. They need to stop off traffic. You know, we have them. We work with everybody. You know, everybody knows their role. Everybody works with each other. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
So the paramedics is, so I see like you have FDNY, right? Like on the truck for the New York City ambulance. But then there's other ones. There's other ambulances for like, I guess for specific to the hospital. There's private companies, right? So is there ever a time where anybody stepping on anybody's toes there, or is it because you represent the city? Like you come in and like, yo, this is my scene right now. You know, this is my case. I got this. They got to fall back.
That only happens on like MCIs. MCIs, the fire department, you know, they put their foot down on that, you know. But there's some hospital companies but they're part of the 911 system. So if you call 911, you might not get an FDNY, you might get a Lenox Hill truck or something like that. They work for the 911 system. But there's other trucks like Senior Care or Midwood. They're on private ambulances. They're like ambulettes, and they do like from hospital to home. They take you home. They transfer you from hospital into facility transports. You know,
right?
Not emergency purposes though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So they're trained to the same level, like they have the same training.
Right.
So,
but they might not have the same experience.
Oh, okay.
They won't have that 911 experience. So, like, say, if you get, let's say somebody stabs you. You know what I'm saying? We take you to the hospital, they fix you up, sew you up, and you're good to go. You're ready to go home, but you can't walk. You know, you call, let's say, a Senior Care or whoever it is. They say you can't walk. I need you to take them home.
Right.
You know, so you're already technically cared for, but just in case of something happens, they can help you out. But you're generally in a stable position, so you don't really have to. You won't need an ambulance for emergency services, but just a ambulance just in case something happens. You know.
Right. All right. So, in the case, bringing it back to the fictional side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, did you grow up reading comics? Were you ever into any of that? Like, as an inspiration maybe to, wanting to delve into a career like this?
I just here and there, nothing crazy.
Okay. So for me, I was like big Spider-Man fan, right? So, shout out to all the cool geeks out there, Spider-Man. And now we got Miles Morales and things like that. So all of that's cool. So, everybody's talking representation. You want something that looks like you, something that feels like you, that you could relate to, right? Are there any characters now that you're feeling, anybody now like you've seen in the movies, because we got, what's the big thing? The No Way Home.
Right.
Spider-Man No Way Home, right? When, you're sitting there looking at that and it's just like, do any of the characters like resonate with you, between like maybe the movies or even if it's an old movie?
Any mass character, I guess I could relate to. I'm gonna tell you a bad story that happened, not to me. I don't know the people involved or whatever it is, but I remember the story. So these people are in uniform. They're not working on the ambulance, but they're in uniform. And when you're in the office, you get to have a lunch break. We don't have lunch breaks on the ambulance, but while you're in the office, you get to have a lunch break. So they're having lunch, and somebody is having an emergency, right? But they don't have their equipment. They don't have nothing with them. They're like, listen, all I could do is call 911. I don't have anything with me. All I have is this uniform. Looks nice, but this uniform can't save you. You know what I'm saying? So, long story short, the person ended up dying.
Wow.
Because, the ambulance took a little while to come. They didn't have anything with them to help aid this person, whatever it is. But because they had this uniform on, they felt like they could perform a miracle. Like I said, I'm sorry what happened to the young lady, whatever it is, but there's not much that person they could have done,
Yeah.
Me, like I once I leave work, I take off my uniform because they expect you to be of some type of, whatever it is that once you're in that uniform, like I was watching the Spider-Man, he's like trying to protect his identity as best as he can. But then they found out who he was, and like everybody knew who Spider-Man was, and then once they know who he was, and his arm was endangered, and like that, what I'm saying? So you try to protect your identity as best as possible. That's how I relate to them.
Right. So then we just blew up your whole secret identity today. You know what I'm saying? So unlike the police, then when you're off duty, you're all the way off duty like this. You're not expected. No one's expecting that, for you to hop in or whatever. At that point, you just become a good Samaritan.
Right.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Because I was just wondering, like, the skills that y'all have, the knowledge that y'all have is important, is real, and I think that even they should probably teach it to the kids in school.
Right.
Just anatomy, physiology, understand how to do an IV.
Right.
Like those are good things to know because sometimes you may have a relative that's hooked up to it, like all of those sorts of skills are things that they should teach. First aid kits. Right.
Definitely.
Something good to have in the home, for me, I know like, growing up, like I said earlier, like I was all into Spider-Man, like that was my guy, and he just had like this sort of vibe with him where he was cool, but there was like a sort of geek, sort of square side to him as well. Yeah. So then when he got his powers, it's like, after going through his little trials and tribulations, then he realized it's like, let me just do good for the sake of doing good, and that's not an easy thing to do. So when you're speaking to a person that's actually like in the danger, you're like on site, you got people doing, because I remember one time you told me a crazy story. I think somebody took like the not exactly the wheelchair, but it was something that, y'all use for
the stair chair.
Yeah, and then they put it on top of the ambulance, right?
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
That's out of control.
Because I mean, listen, when you get your driver's license, they tell you don't follow an ambulance, don't follow a fire truck. They don't respect the ambulance. They respect the fire truck. They respect the police car. So in a narrow street, we're gonna block the street. That's what happens.
Right.
My man decided he got to get out his car. I'm taking your chair. Boom, throw it on top of your ambulance. So we're looking for the stair chair. Look at the hell. So once again, we gotta call the cops. Like, yo, I don't know what this guy's doing. So we call the cops. Like, yo, it's on top of your ambulance. Like, what?
Wow.
Outside, crazy.
You see, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's why I wanted to highlight paramedics. You know, shout out to the FDNY because, you know, police, you know, in many cases, rightfully so, they get a lot of shine. So do firefighters, right? Nurses, doctors, all of it, you know. But there's other people that's running up on the spot as well. And, like, you need them, you know what I'm saying? Like, that ambulance, you call them and then they come through. And they know what it is to at least get you from this point of like where you just may be done to hopefully get, you know, being able to sustain you to get to the doctor and then they can really go in. And to even like run up on a situation like that where you have all of these gruesome things, because I'm assuming you seen gunshots,
All that.
just blood, smelling all sorts of stenches that is just out of control.
You don't want to remember.
And then, like, also when you run up on the scene, first thing, the emotions are high. You know, the tension is serious right now. Everything is real thick. So it's like, and then they have to clean up everybody, put them on it's wow.
Listen, when you look at the newspaper, you will see like, oh, this firefighter saved somebody. Oh, this police officer delivered this baby, yada, yada, yada. When we do it, that's your job.
Wow.
That's it. So we get.
Nah. So we got to switch that. You know, we got to make sure we let people know, you know, shout out to the paramedics. Cause I remember also that lady, yo, it's like the craziest story. She gets out of her truck. Yo, I mean, I'm not laughing because it's funny. It's just like so out of control.
When I told you?
Nah, I think it was on the news. Like, somebody hopped in her ambulance and like ran her over.
Oh,
it was crazy. I couldn't believe what I was reading. I'm like, what?
They killed her.
Yeah, like who does it? And then on top of that, she had a bunch of kids. I'm like she got out of her truck. Like it's just like the most absurd, out of control sort of thing that I'm just like, what?
That was the person that didn't need to be on the streets. You know, he had multiple records. He's been, you know, arrested numerous times. He had psych issues, all this other stuff, but they let him out on the street. And he runs up on them and like, I don't remember if he was like, I think he was in the back of the truck, like hanging on the back of the truck. So she's like checking to see what's like, why are you on the back of my truck?
Right.
And she's like, he hops out, hops in the driver's seat, runs over and kills her.
Wow. Yeah, man, rest in peace to that lady. Cause that, you know, that's out of control. And, yeah, that's something else. It's just something that's just so absurd that, you know, you just can't imagine that you're even hearing that. Like, you know, you get out and somebody, it's like, it's almost like you something out of a comic book. You know, it truly is.
Yeah.
You know, but another thing about you though, cool fun fact, cool geek fact, they don't know that you're nice with the pen. You could draw.
A little bit.
So I want to show, you know, put that out there. You know what I'm saying? So even if, you know, not just from career-wise, what was your inspiration for drawing, like art? Because as you see my wonderful display right here, you know, we have much artwork with many artists.
Yeah, I like it.
You know, so what does it take for you? Like, what is going through you where you're like, yo, you know, let me just make something happen right here.
A lot of people use their body now as a piece of art, I know. But growing up, I used the wall in my house. My brother was the first one to do it. He used to still draw like, I remember he drew this Bart Simpson. And it was some gruesome stuff. Like his bones was hanging out, he was bleeding from his face. I was like, damn.
Wow, okay.
I was like, all right.
Kind of serious.
Yeah, kind of deep.
Pretty heavy.
Cool. Yeah. And then he started drawing some other characters and I learned from him. And I started, you know, doing little stuff. Mine wasn't as good as his, but then, you know, as time goes by, you know, you learn your craft and you get a little better at what you do.
Yeah. Cause like my stuff, man, I started drawing it, yo. Like, if you're looking for Superman, you might end up with Bizarro, you know, messing with me with the drawing. But, you know, just to be able to draw something like so symmetrical and just so on point, like that's an ill talent, you know. You ever thought about taking it as far as like, you know, comic books or anything like that? You ever thought about like, yo, what would this be like, yo, if I made this character and let me, you know, hook this up?
Nah, I never thought I was that talented to create a whole comic book, but you You know, maybe I underestimate my talent or not, but it's not. It wasn't a passion of mine. It's just something I like to do. Some little activity once in a while I do.
Right. Yeah. Well, hopefully, coming out here, this inspire you to want to hop out there, maybe do something bigger with it, show the world, your talent, because it's definitely official.
Appreciate you.
And graffiti, sometimes gets a bad rap, but like, even if like, say your art style is more like graffiti, like that's nice too. Like
graffiti's art.
Yeah. The ability to, like the letters and the colors and make it pop and say what it needs to say and really represent the streets,
It gets a bad rap because you write on people's buildings, but you know what I'm saying?
Well, we don't want no vandalism,
That's about it. But the talent is there. It's pretty dope. I like graffiti.
I always actually thought like if the city embraced it on the trains, it would be hot.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like if you ever look at Wild Style, I should check that out. Yo, hip hop and comics. Yo. It goes together like, peanut butter and jelly.
Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck coming through, saving the day right here. So Cool Geek Tribunal cups up on that. We out of here.
Within our
Peace.
soul live a Superman. Within our souls to survive. Don't you wish you were a Superman? Or don't you wish you were a Superman?